are the specifications of the Rafale. Let me get you that. We're talking about the Rafale specifications. Let's talk about the engines first. Now, they're powered by 2 engines. The wingspan is 10.9 meter. The maximum speed is Mach 1.8 and the length is 15.5 meters. These are the specifications of the Rafale that we're getting you at this point. Air to air, of course, weapons, air to ground, and air anti-ship. So these are the weapons that are part of it. And now we're talking about the software-defined radios that the Rafale has. Satellite comms, upgraded radar, POD, and optronics. And the price, viewers, the whopping price is at 1,500 crore. 1,500 crore is what it's priced at. So we're talking about the specifications, of course, of the Rafale. And I want to go back to Brian Thomas, who's joining me. Brian, we've spoken to our viewers about the Rafale's specifications. What more can you add to that?
5th-generation multi-role fighter capable of air dominance, precision strike, and networked warfare. India is expanding its Rafale fleet to 150-plus aircraft with phased deliveries and domestic manufacturing. And clearly, MRFA deal includes local assembly and technology transfer, boosting India's aerospace industry, strategic implications, stronger deterrence and operational capabilities across India's Air Force missions itself. And very importantly, India is also poised to operate one of the largest Rafale fleets in the world, potentially surpassing France's own inventory. Yes.
All right, Brian, stay on with me. Now, according to sources, a final approval from the Cabinet Committee on Security, led by PM Narendra Modi, would be required after the DSC's decision. The deal also carries diplomatic weight. India and France are expected to advance discussions during French President Emmanuel Macron's visit to India from February 17 to 19, when he's scheduled to meet Prime Minister Modi. Brian, of course, a very strategic timing is what we're talking about when this big development has happened. What more can you add to that?
This is a very important, significant technology transfer and local assembly work which supports India's defense industrial base. India firms working on assembly and maintenance could become a global Rafale supply chain itself. So very importantly, we need to note that the Indian Air Force is currently operating around 29 squadrons. And very importantly, this adding of these 114 Rafale could significantly strengthen India's frontline combat power, especially in high fleet environments along India's western and northern borders. Again, India's existing Rafale jets operate on F3R standard, but the new deal is expected to bring the fleet to F4 standard, enhancing network warfare, communication, and mission computing. Yes.
All right, Brian, stay on with me. Now I have Group Captain Dr. V.N. Jha, former Indian Air Force officer, joining me. Now, Group Captain Dr. V.N. Jha, welcome. And of course, we've spoken to our viewers about the specifications of the Rafale. I'd like you to explain that in detail to our viewers, please.
Very good afternoon, Vaishali. Look, Rafale, all this, what has happened right now, we welcome it because it was very logical that if we have 2 squadrons of Rafale in Indian Air Force, we are going to have about 1.5 squadron of similar aircraft for the Navy, the naval version of it. It is very much justified that we should have more of it, because then it becomes so much easier to sustain the fleet, meet the requirements of the spares, and do all maintenance activity. You should not have too many types of aircraft. And if, as we have already have Rafale in Indian Air Force, it is very, very logical to have more squadrons of the aircraft, maybe 7 or 8 more squadrons that it will form. So it was all in offing right from the day one that Rafale was purchased in the flyaway condition. We have been suggesting that government should go for this, in which, of course, India should insist that more and more spare parts maybe something about 75% or 70% of this should be made here in India under TOT, and the upgradation program as well should be with the Indian agency as and when this happens. Look, there is one thing very important that we should understand. Rafale has got lot of advantage from the earlier, let's forget about what deal was being made under UPA. That is the past event. And that Rafale aircraft was the basic aircraft which cannot go for the fighting today. If that aircraft was today here, it would have to undergo many of the modifications that we are looking for. Today, what Rafale we have got in Indian Air Force, it has got almost about 18 odd, value additions, and the India-specific additions that has gone into it, for which we have already paid the French government. That's all. Not French government, but that's all. So, with all these already have happened, now the talk will be more onto the price negotiations. We see how fast it can be delivered, because we are in critical stage. There is no doubt about it as far as the squadron strength is concerned. And looking at the world event, world is not at a peace today. There is a lot of ups and downs going up. You don't know when we may have to again come for the defense of the nation. So it is pertinent that these aircrafts are supplied at rather fast turnover of the flyaway conditions, as well as set up more and more manufacturing unit here under TOT. That has to happen. We are glad that India has already have the Rafale, some of the parts being manufactured here with any of the agency that is there. So it has to go there. India will have to see whom to engage. HAL, we have had slight bit of heartburn in the past with many of the aircraft that is coming up there, including HAL, including LCA. So LCA will continue. LCA Mark 1A is today coming up now. Of course, we are, I told you, we have failed the nation as far as the LCA engine is concerned, Kaveri engine is concerned. There we have failed, and that is where USA is doing the tail twisting with us, because they know that the LCA cannot fly until and unless 404 engine comes up here in this, and that they have been betraying us. USA is absolutely unreliable partner today, but then we have no option but to wait for them. Now, Rafale deal coming up there, we are for sure that the Safran now will come up. Either they will have some readily available engine with overthrust available there, that we may not mind it having it there, but then the engine cannot go just like that. That engine also will have to undergo many of the modifications to even fit into the LCA Mark 1. Many of the modification has to be there. That may not happen right now, but then the platform is now clear. The way is clear that this Safran engine, either in itself or Safran plus GTRE that we have in the DRDO, they will have to work out the way how to take this particular engine for the LCA or Mark 1, Mark 2, and subsequently AMCA, coming up in the platform in a similar design, into which only some value additions and the additional thrust will be added. This will be going onto the aircraft. So I'm very glad that this particular deal is going through. I only wish that all this happen at a rapid pace, and the Indian government and the Dassault, they have a quick bit of rounds of talk. They may continue dealing with this thing on the day-to-day basis, so that the aircraft order is final. It is placed as soon as possible, and then these aircraft will be coming up there, and more aircraft will be made in India mostly under the TOT.